shelf, and if you can't see it or no one knows about it, it's going to sit there.
One thing that I have seen, again, from the literary publishing side, a couple years ago when Graphically started, we had our own apps out there. So we developed our own iOS app, we developed our own Android app, and within that app, we actually sold content. So we would take all of our publishers' content and sell it within our own kind of digital store. And within a couple years, and I knew this was going to happen, that store became so overwhelmed with content, just like we're talking about. You know, all of a sudden you're talking about, 15, 20,000 different pieces of IP all within a little app. And, if you weren't the biggest company there, whether it was a DC comic or a Marvel comic, nobody was going to see your content. And I look at all this content, I see great properties. Beautifully illustrated properties, stuff that can make great animated shorts or series, make a great traditional TV show or feature film, but nobody saw it. And it was kind of heartbreaking. And our company had to take the pivot, and instead of focusing on our apps, we shuttered those apps, and we started focusing more on the ebook stores out there and helping our clients get into the iBook store and all that good stuff. But it really just comes down to marketing, and that's really what it comes down to. And you need to have that ability to talk a good game and to go and talk to the right people, spread that word. It's all word of mouth. Whether it's digital or whether it's, traditional literary content or whatever, going back to the dawn of time, it's all been about word of mouth. And you need to be able to get out there and be passionate about what you're doing. It's an uphill battle. I think we've all talked about that here. This whole thing is just one giant uphill battle. But if you're passionate about what you're doing, and if you have great content, and I think most of us, knows what great content is. If it's engaging, again, you were talking about, putting it up against other great content that you appreciate, and if it's kind of on the same level, you have something good. But you gotta be passionate about it. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And, but if you put your heart and soul into it, and again, if you know how to talk about it the right way and know how to market yourself, then you got a better shot than most people out there.
So in the new media market, what do you guys need? What do you want and what do you need for you as you see it? You're the guys making it.
I'll grab the mic, and if someone wants to, I can walk out as far as I can walk out.
Does anyone want to ask a question on the mic? I don't know how far I can walk. Probably not that far, but this is good enough.
Susan needs a wireless mic.
I do, but that's okay. How about if I, yes?
I have a question regarding distribution and numbers. If you're out there marketing your product and you're starting to get numbers, is there a magic number on the distribution end that we need to come to you with our content, with our subscribers and whatnot, that you would be interested in talking to us?
From my point of view,
Yes.
from my humble opinion, numbers do matter. So if somebody came to me and said, I have a digital comic book series that got 1 million views over, a couple months or whatever it is, then it's something that will, that I'll pay attention to. But then again, I'm all about the material, and I see a lot of original content that nobody has seen, or something that's gone out digitally, but again, nobody has bought it. And it's great. And I know that it's great. And it's something that I want to pay attention to and devote the time necessary to help package and do the right way, bring in my distribution partners and my contacts to help support it. So again, it all comes down to the content. If you have great content, then it'll speak for itself. Eyes always help, but it's all about the content.
You probably, Allison, would be best to answer what it takes.
Well, YouTube, when they start taking interest in you, it usually is upward, at least high 6 figures. In traditional broadcast media, that was one of the whole things about ITV, why it's all taken so long, actually why we started an organization, because everything's so siloed, right? You have your distribution, your technology, your content, your advertisers, and a lot of times their own incentives are at odds with one another. So it used to be that they wanted, 25 million households. It was pretty high. When Nancy Dennis joined the ITA from Kraft, she'd said she would rather have 10 million relationships than 100 million eyeballs. So it's all gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. So part of the numbers are you gotta get them just as high up as you can. So for the ad buys, because the advertising, or at least attract a sponsorship if it's a niche topic, let's just say, some kind of a environmentally friendly message or characters in your piece, right? And then some other sponsor that wants to be affiliated with that affinity group of people that are green might come in. Then you start getting these ratcheted up conversations. Or you can try to be just some other piece of it that's either maybe controversial or going to attract attention topically, that can go viral through whatever your efforts are on Twitter and all your social media efforts. And a lot of times I find that creators are not necessarily always their own best spokesperson, to your guys' point. So sometimes if there's a person on your team who just is naturally more outgoing or has a real way with the pithy little words, that let them do the tweeting. You don't have to do everything yourself all the time. You might even have, somebody in your family that's going to pitch in and help, depending on where you are on your budgeting. But the interest gets there either if you already have followers, if you get a sponsor, even if it's a regional or local sponsor, or you get upwards into the millions. But the scale of what's counted as a channel really has compressed from where it used to be. Because broadcast TV had 200 plus million households, and you could have a share of like 70, which is unheard of now, right? So it's smaller and smaller levels of people who watch. Even Mad Men, you'd be surprised how small the millions are that watch. It's not anything like it used to be.
Well, I have an 18-year-old daughter, and her groups don't watch TV. They watch everything on an iPad or everything on their phones, and their attention span is about 5 or 6 minutes on anything they do. So the future is watching it on your iPad, watching it on your phone, and having it, designed so that all these kids are sending it everywhere. Spend their amount of time that they're going to do, and you feed their frenzy. They get into a frenzy, and then it goes viral in a school, just in a high school. Within days, they created something amongst themselves, and then everybody in the school has seen it. It's a whole new world, and that's really what your new media is. It's a attention span of 5 minutes, maybe. There's a program that they use for music, that if you like something, it finds things that like it. There are similar songs. What is that? Pandora. So what if we had a Pandora for videos? And when you're watching Pandora or watching the videos, you do the same kind of thing. You put in your show and it starts popping up the same kind of content that you like.
That's happening, actually. Yeah. I mean, in several platforms.
Pandora.
Yeah, exactly. They are, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's like, it's going to be an ever-changing landscape. That's the one thing we can count on, is that it's always going to be evolving and always be changing. And to your point, and to my point, is like, it's easy to get lost in that and focus on actually doing really great content that you're passionate about, that you can stand by and say, yeah, and as you said, speak for itself. And for me, in my perspective, it's not that I don't want to deal with it, but to your point, it takes a village, to really get around a particular. I don't know anyone who's just the one person that goes and shoots it, makes it, writes it, distributes it, and that's a lot. Everything's a job for.
We're all capable of doing that today.
Yeah, and it does happen. YouTube's a good example of that. They're their own thing. I know a lot of the YouTubers. I know a lot of the really popular YouTubers. We work with them. We've helped them figure out some special effects and things like that they wanted to do. And it's interesting to watch people with zero production background evolving into production, and that's been interesting too, because I have a friend that just did a movie called Channeling, and it was at the LA Film Festival, and it was about everyone broadcasting from a contact lens, you know, and are we headed in that direction? It was a great social commentary on all of the new media to say, you know, people were losing themselves and just becoming their own channel, you know, and channeling and broadcasting their entire life, like the fusion of reality into that. And I didn't mean to do an ad for my friend's film, that was kind of lame. But it is a good movie, and it is topical to this point that, you know, I think connecting to passion, and to your point, if you are a good spokesperson and maybe you're not a great content maker, you know, go find some people that make great content and help them. And if you are a great storyteller and an awesome illustrator, animator, or writer, you know, focus on what you're actually highly, you know, evolved, or what you're good at doing, and then build a team. You know, that's what I think, because it is an ever-changing,
ever-growing questions out there.
You basically have two issues, which is that the tools are making it easier and easier for anybody without a lot of training to actually become pretty proficient in editing and even, you know, adding effects and doing all this stuff. There's a lot of collaborative online, like WeVideo, all that kind of stuff is going on. So at the same time that that's easier entry into the market, it also means the explosion of the number of properties, which we're seeing, and it means it all gets commoditized in terms of value, right? So that's where you just either decide that you're going to do a lot and break through, what path you're going to go on the marketing side versus your own focus. That'd be a question.
Yeah, just out of curiosity for you guys, do you think it is better to specialize in one thing? For example, when you're just talking about, like, if you're a writer, if you're a, you know, marketing director, or whatever you want to do you think it's better to more specialize in one thing, or do you think it would be more beneficial to try to harness everything and, you know, edit it yourself, direct yourself, write it yourself?
I believe that everything is a job for a reason, and that it's kind of a split answer, because I think there are certain people that can do all well. For me, I knew that I could do certain things well, and that I wanted to surround myself with people that excelled to the level that I did with what I do, and meet me and team it, you know, and like really be like, okay, we're a great collaboration, we work well together, it's an enjoyable experience. Because I think, to your point, connecting to your passion is really all that matters. Like, if you're passionate about doing whatever it is that you're doing all day, every day, you don't work a day in your life, you hear that all the time, and it's true. And it is great to know a lot of skill sets, because in a dark hour, you know, at 2 a.m. when a client needs something in 4 hours and everyone's gone, it's good to know how to edit, you know, or be able to get that thing out of the machine. So like on a base level, I would say it's good to know a lot of skill sets, but whatever you're attracted to and whatever you're really passionate about and enjoy doing with most of your time is probably the focus. Did that answer your question?
Well, that's kind of where I was headed with this, because my point is that, so these tools are becoming easier and easier. So fortunately, that means there's going to be less barrier to entry to be able to express yourself. It's not going to be as hard of a ramp up in order to express yourself, as the tools will be transparent and be so simple to go straight in. But really, the bifurcation point of decision making is, what is your aim and your purpose of doing it in the first place? Some of these people on YouTube, they just want to be a reality star. Not really the same thing as somebody else wanting to communicate the, you know, pain of growing up as an only child or something, right? So that's something to be cognizant of your own personal motivation. What do you want to do? Do you want to become wealthy? Do you want to feel like you're connected to other people? Do you have something to say, or your issues you want to explore? Are you an activist first? Why are you even doing it in the first place?
I think focus is important. If you're a writer and you focus and you're the best writer there is, they will seek you out. If you're the best DP, they will seek you out. If you know a little bit of everything, that's great for the whole team, but in that team, there's a guy that's the expert or a girl that's the expert at what she does or he does, and that separates them from everybody else. You know, when you're focused, a professional champion, a world champion in anything is focused on what they're doing, and they're the best at it in the world, and then people seek you out.